Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Shane.
Nick.
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 Shane.
What's up? What's up, party people out there? Here I am. Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Shane.
Yeah, you should know us by now.
You should. You should.
Especially if you just watched that intro. You know, but you know what you're getting into. Well, welcome people out there to the Nick and Shane show. I'm Nick, and this is my man Shane Driscoll right here. And we are here for another week of talking about everything that's going on in the world. So, Shane, how's it been going with you?
Hey, man, same stuff, different day. Feeling just slightly more oppressed, feeling just slightly more broke, feeling just slightly more pressure, a little more stress. It's like every day it just inches up,
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking about that today in a video I made on my Instagram Live. If you guys aren't following me, definitely be sure to do so. There it is at the bottom of the screen. But I was talking about how if we continue to give the establishment an inch, they'll take a mile, and that seems to be what's happening. You sent me a text earlier this week about an article in New York where they're forcing private businesses to, mandate to this COVID vax.
Yep.
And I was saying they're already doing that out here in LA, man.
Yeah. Look, man, it's disturbing. I don't understand it. I saw this week a friend sent me it's like a 45-minute long speech that is it Ron Johnson? I don't know, some guy from Wisconsin, a senator from Wisconsin. Okay. Gave a 45-minute speech on the floor of the Senate, and it's rational. It was wonderful to listen to. It's good to know that there's somebody who's not insane, at least when it comes to this, right? When it comes to COVID-19, there's somebody rational in DC. I wouldn't know. I don't pay attention.
I know, right? Well, this has probably got to be one of the worst Congress or congressional bodies in I don't even know how long. It seems like they keep getting worse and worse each and every election,
Well, that's because, look, each crisis gets worse and worse. Everything that happens just creates more and more division, and it's just. And by the way, as far as the stress goes, I'm kidding. I'm going the other direction. My stress levels are actually going down. But we're gonna look at the drug report tonight, and talk
That's
about.
Gonna raise your blood pressure, get it back up there.
Slightly, but I'll recover.
Good to know. Well, yeah, we're going to be doing some headline hunting today, going through the drudgereport.com. I actually have that website, so let me share that with you guys. Oh, no, not yet. Hold on. And what is the Drudge Report? It's like one of those.
It's just a news aggregator.
Yeah, but I know Drudge Report kind of started with like the guy Matt Drudge or whatever, who was rebelling against the mainstream media system and kind of created his own website, the Drudge Report.
Okay.
I don't know how it's still around, but it is. And it's actually gained a lot of notoriety where there's many people out there to turn to the Drudge Report for their daily news. And it's great. I actually think it's better that we have more independent resources and outlets, available able to give us information other than, the corporate entities, whether it be Fox or CNN or ABC, or they're all owned by the same damn people,
Yep.
So whenever we have a website such as theirs or even Breitbart, I think that was another kind of independent website that took off.
Exactly.
A few others. So here we are on the drudgereport.com. You guys can check it out. It kind of looks like a beta website.
Oh, it does, man. Nothing about it has changed since it's been around. It's been around for years.
I know, right? Nothing is fancy about the site. I mean, I think, of course, this front picture changes every now and then. But if you come to the site, this is how the news feed looks, And they got a lot of different stories here. Let's see where we're starting. I see this lady here. She looks familiar. Says Kamala Harris. I think one of the things that's been happening recently with the White House and Kamala Harris is a lot of high-profile staffers for her have been leaving. People that have been with her since she was a senator here in California. I think even before that, when she was attorney general or whatever. But here she is, Kamala Harris. It says needs to get serious. Her shaky standing is a danger to the country, given the position she could be called on to fill. I don't know what the article is about. It says it's a 7-minute read or whatever, so I'm not really going to go through it. But like I said, I think that's more so the issue with Kamala right now is her lackluster performance as a vice president.
What does the vice president do?
I mean, what does the president do?
How do you have a lackluster performance as vice president? Look, I feel sorry for Joe Biden, man. All I ever hear about, whenever I hear about Kamala Harris, is that she might replace Joe Biden. She might all they talk about is the poor guy tipping over every time they talk about her.
Yeah, because they're really wanting to see her in the position of president, but it's like, why? She hasn't done a damn thing as vice president, like you said. What really does a vice president do? I think the most kind of influential vice president was Dick Cheney.
If you want to call that influence, I would have called it. I would have called it fraud. I think he was the actual president.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He was actually the one pulling the strings in the White House. It wasn't Bush at all. It was Cheney.
No,
but here we have Kamala Harris. She goes around, talks about the border issues. I think recently she was talking about housing or whatever the case may be, and going around with Buttigieg, who I guess is the interior of whatever, Secretary of Interior. And they're kind of doing this co-campaigning thing, this early campaigning to possibly even position themselves for 2024, where they could come out as candidates to replace Biden, who may retire. You never know, But you
poor Biden, man. That poor guy is gonna die, and no one's gonna. It's like the boy who cried wolf.
He got elected as the oldest president ever. He's 79, man. I mean, 79? What the hell? What are you even doing?
He's going to die. I don't know, but I know this. I know he's going to die.
We're all going to die. I think that's a guarantee.
Well, not before Joe Biden, apparently.
I don't know why we even continue to keep the gerontocracy in power. But yeah, Joe Biden keeping that revolving door going. It looks like Kamala Harris is trying to, push him out of that sooner than later. But yeah, another story that got here is the Ghislaine Maxwell case. We were talking about that last week. It says Ghislaine believes Epstein was murdered. I think there's been a few developments on that with the witnesses taking the stand. And I believe it or not, prosecutors have actually rest their case. So this trial may end up, coming to a conclusion sooner than later. I think you called it last week. You said they're going to rush this thing through.
Yes, man.
Yeah.
Well, look, but look, there's something big is coming, right? Because they're going to rush this thing through. There's going to be a huge number of people who are sorely disappointed with the outcome of this trial.
Mm-hmm.
And either that's going to be the big distracting event, or a different big distracting event will come along and take our minds off of what's happening with pedophiles everywhere. Who knew?
That's sickening.
Who knew?
You would think we would do everything in our power to protect our children from pedophiles, especially ones that elevate themselves to status in the community where they could either be an elected official, or law enforcers even, or whatever the case may be. There's so much connected to this case, and hopefully it'll continue to unravel. But I think you're right about something big coming out of it. I don't know where it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. It may even just come from her conviction. But as of right now, they're not really doing much to kind of expose this case, or the details of this case, really.
Again, I don't pay attention, but don't be surprised if she's not found guilty.
Oh my God, that would be crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Why even go through all of? I mean, other than that, you have to, right? You get due process, but why keep it all so hidden? Because this trial, right? They're not letting any media in.
No,
right?
It's closed to the media.
Yeah.
They have a court reporter present, and I think the media is given. They're able to be there, but they can't, record it, video, audio, none of that stuff. And they basically just get to take notes. And, they have an artist there to show drawings of what's going on. I think they showed a picture of the artist, the court artist, drawing a picture of Maxwell, looking at the artist, drawing a picture of them. So it's like, what the hell? That's what the courtroom. She's so damn bored. She's sitting there drawing a picture of the person drawing her,
I'm telling you, man, it bothers me. So, hey, I cheated. Check out that headline right below Elon Musk's picture.
It says, Musk, I'm thinking of quitting, or cashes out more stock.
So here's the thing, right? He's cashed out 12 billion in stock, at least.
Mm-hmm.
12 billion, right? That's a lot of cash. And how about now? Let's just make it a cool 13 billion.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Got a lot of stocks, supposedly in a challenge to the World Health Organization, because they made claims saying, if all of the billionaires, the UN said, if you take all of the billionaires' money, you can solve world hunger. And
it was worse than that, man. It was worse than that. The UN said something so abysmally stupid. It was just painful. But they said with $6 billion, they could solve world hunger. And they were talking about, I guess in context, Elon Musk being the richest man in the world at the time. And he said, and then that's when he challenged him. Cool. Show me the spreadsheet, put your numbers out there, make it public so everyone can see it. I'll sell the stock right now. I'll fund it. We'll solve world hunger. Let's do it.
Do you think this could be a charade to distract people and for him to kind of be coordinating a dump of his stock?
No.
You think this is real?
I don't think Elon Musk gives a shit about the stock. I don't think he cares about the companies. I don't think he cares. Not that he doesn't care about the companies, but at the end of the day, I think he's A, partially bored, but B, Dude, he's talking about stepping away from all of his companies and just becoming an influencer. He doesn't.
Yeah, I see that here. Here's a tweet from him saying, thinking of quitting my jobs and becoming an influencer full time. What do you think? And that's yesterday that he tweeted that.
Yeah. Elon, if you're watching, and I know you are, I'm all for it, man. I think that's exactly what you should do. I would pay attention.
Why? Why do you think it would be more beneficial for him to be working as an influencer versus, you know, a private
feeding the beast, feeding the machine?
That's actually what he's doing.
That is. Yeah. I think Elon recognizes it. I think that's why he goes on and he talks with people like Joe Rogan. But I think he recognizes that this system is nonsense. It's bullshit. I think he sits there and goes, look, oh my God, I'm the richest man in the world. And I did what? Designed a car?
Yeah. And
you know,
I saw an interview with him recently. He was talking about how the government, you know, has a monopolization on violence, pretty much. You know, they don't know how to spend, they mismanage, and he's like, but people still support them for some reason, you know.
Look, here's my background tonight. Right, it's kind of a play on that whole Drudge Report thing, but it's the drug report.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for being part of the audience.
Yeah, any one of you three, by the way, can jump on and join us if you want.
Yeah, we have the link to join the chat in the caption, in the description. So, Tony, if you're out there, you want to jump in, feel free to. We appreciate your comment, as well as Mandy. Keep them coming. And yeah, if you want to jump in, just click that link.
Absolutely. So, but the point is that I wanted to make tonight, right, is that all of this, like, it's just, let's back to the main page on Drudge itself.
Okay.
All right. Of all of these headlines, I'm guessing there's probably 70, 75 headlines you can choose from there.
Quite a few, yes. They all kind of pertain to, I guess, the main subject. So they got a few links here about Maxwell, a few here about Musk, a few about Kamala. Right. One of the biggest headlines here, we actually skipped. Inflation highest since 1982.
Yeah.
You know, we don't talk about money enough in this country. And I'm actually glad Musk brought it up during his interview to say, you know, we're inflating our currency here, and nobody's paying attention to how devastating that's going to be to world markets, you know, later on down the line. I think he estimated this Build America, Build Back Better, or whatever, the new budget that they're passing through Congress, and of course Biden will sign, pretty much will add another $26 trillion to the deficit. So yes, billion or trillion, one or the other. I think he said it may add about $13 trillion. Yeah,
13 trillion.
It's going to inflate it severely, because remember, whenever government does, presents one of these ideas, it's not just right now. It's over a period of time. So if it's a 20-year, 30-year plan, or whatever the case may be, add up all of the money. You know what I mean?
You know what people I'm glad are asleep? Everyone who doesn't live in America. I'm glad they're asleep, because if they were awake, they would immediately refuse to see us as anything other than a banana republic. We don't even have a real currency.
Yeah, we do not.
The problem is that their currency is pinned to ours, and they don't have a real one either. But I just, it's mind blowing to me.
Yeah, there was part of me. I exaggerated a bit. It's 1 trillion. So even still, it's not 26 trillion or 24, whatever I said, but it's $1 trillion. You couldn't even count that much money in a lifetime. That's how much money it is. $1 trillion, people. This infrastructure new bill will add to our deficit. Let me close that up. That's slowing me down a bit. You still there?
Yeah, I am. How many millions is that? Tony, Mandy, you guys are math people.
Yeah,
how many millions is a trillion?
Of dollars is that? And excuse me. You know what's funny is just recently I was invited to a city council meeting here in Fresno where they're discussing our current budget, right? We're getting $170 million in COVID relief here in our city. And the
170 million?
$170 million, Shane. Okay. Now there's nearly 100 million people here in Fresno. And he the person that invited me, he's like, come on down there, let's rally for housing rights and stuff like that, and get them to provide rent relief and fix rent control and all of this stuff, to demand all of these things, as well as demand what they spend the money on.
Right. And 1 million people in Fresno, right?
No, there's 100 million people.
No.
And
there's 300 million in the country.
Yeah, you're part of me. I apologize. It's too many damn millions.
It's all right. That's
nearly
all right.
a million.
It's Friday, man. It's been a long week. I just want to make sure
It's nearly 1 million people here in Fresno, right?
Right.
I was telling him he with that $170 million, because I guess supposedly they're planning on giving police here more money and beefing up the police department. They always want to do that.
That's how you stop COVID.
What's that?
That's how you stop COVID.
Right. That's how you stop COVID. Remember, This is COVID relief money. $170 million.
You just got to pull it over.
Right. 1 million people. I said we could each get $1 million each. A million is a trillion. That's how many millions are in a trillion. Tony says 1 million of them.
1 million millions.
A million.
So you could create, in essence, 1 million new millionaires.
Right. I'm saying even with the 170 million that we're getting here in the city, you could give everybody $1 million and still have a shitload of money.
Well,
public services.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, look, if you take that down to 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right, give everyone $10,000.
Even if 10,000, or 50,000, 100,000, you could whittle it down to any small amount, but you could give that much money in relief to every single person here in the city, and like I said, still have a shitload of cash to spend on other stuff. But we're too busy sitting there asking them, for menial stuff, ridiculous.
Well, what it is that it's the people of Fresno are too busy being a part of their little cog in the machine.
Yeah,
they go to work, they got to pay bills, they got to pay debts, they got to save for college for their kids, they got to do all the things they're supposed to do. That's been ingrained in their brains that they're supposed to do.
Wow. Yeah, and with the officials here, I mean, they don't really care about helping the people, which is why they don't really have a plan as to how to spend the money, other than just doing, the normal that they always do. Give more money to law enforcement, give more money to city officials, they may get a raise, of course.
How cool would it be if that was your job? Look, man, you need to figure out how to spend $170 million, Nick.
Right. Exactly. I think the first idea that comes to mind is just give the people some money. It's their money. It's taxpayer.
Well, the idea that comes to mind for me
is
to send it back.
Even better. I said that too. I'm like, why even take the money if we don't need it?
Send it back.
You're trying to figure out what to use the money for. You should all, if it was really needed, you'd already have, things on the books or ready for budget
Of course.
expenses to say this is what we need the money for. We have, I think, over 3,000 people here in Fresno that are homeless. What are we doing to help those people? Nothing. We're still taxed. We're still paying for them to receive some bit of support. But yet I go out there on the streets, and they're sleeping on the sidewalk. They have their tents up under the highways. It's ridiculous.
I think the solution to homelessness is coming down the pipe, Nick.
How so?
I think that in the not too distant future, you will see a partnership between FEMA and the states and the cities and the counties to deal with homelessness. And I think that you will see emergency shelters that are built by FEMA. They'll just be emergency shelters built by FEMA. They won't be FEMA camps. They'll just be emergency shelters built by FEMA to house the homeless. Oh, by the way, and I can send you the text of it, but like the state of Washington recently passed a little deal where apparently now they can do what they're doing in Australia. If you come down with COVID, right, they can take you out of your home and put you in a shelter.
Right.
Now it won't be a FEMA camp because those are conspiracy theories, but it will be a FEMA built, FEMA sponsored, place to go, while you get better.
Right.
But definitely, definitely won't be a FEMA camp.
It's ridiculous what's going on. And what's crazy is you brought up a great example with Australia, because we're not even talking about that over here. Our media just completely, ignores what's going on with revolts against these mandates all over the country. I think in England, they're having protests also against, people having to carry a green pass to show that they've been vaccinated. And, but they're not talking about protests here in the States either. I mean, there's daily protests in Los Angeles over the vaccine mandate, and they're not talking about it,
Well, if they don't talk about it, it doesn't happen.
Right.
That's the game. And it's clearly the game that the media plays. Like, I don't know how anybody intentionally tunes in to any news source on television is just beyond me. Like what are you even thinking? I think, and I'll point out too, right? The TV is just the video version of Drudge. I mean, if we go back and you take a look at these headlines on Drudge, here's what almost all of them have in common. A, they're probably either scary or ooh-ah, right? So clickbait type stuff. B, there's nothing you can do about any of them. C, they're all bad news. The sky is falling. And D, they probably in one way, thank you, Erica. That's why I call it the drug report, because that's what it is. It is fear, nonstop stress. Look, if you want to do your part to get rid of the fools that are in Washington, D.C., stop consuming this.
But that would be boring. And let's just be honest. People gravitate towards drama because, rainbows and butterflies and happiness is not as attractive as, oh my God, somebody just got shot. That's a head turner. So people gravitate towards that information constantly. Like you said, it's a drug, man. They're responding, their body's fight or flight response that they're getting from hearing that information attracts them to that over and over and over again versus happiness, giggles, and butterflies and shit. They don't really give a about that.
But you got to ask yourself, right? Why? So as far as like the drugs are concerned, right? Why do drug addicts do drugs? At the end of the day, drug addicts do drugs so they don't have to take a look at themselves.
That is true.
That's really what we're running from, right? So I'm telling you, right? This is on par with, in my opinion, on par with heroin. This is a nasty drug that, like, you get this stuff in your system, man, and you get hooked on this, you can destroy your life just as easily as you can destroy your life being a drug addict of any other kind.
Yeah.
You alienate friends, alienate families, lose jobs, get depressed, be angry all the time. Dude, are you kidding me? That was like my world for 15, 20 years of my life.
Right.
All of this seems so real to me.
I think most of us kind of go through that period where we kind of dive in and just submerge ourselves into all the negative news. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And at some point, you got to pull yourself away from it. Erica says it's deep psychological manipulation. They know how the body reacts and they count on that reaction. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the high that people get from hearing information that's negative or scary or whatever the case may be, it's more exciting to them versus hearing the opposite of that, you know, which is why when you turn on the news, it's all of this stuff, the clickbait, the sensationalism, the, you know, hoo-ha, whatever the fuck.
But it's asking you, right? This is what it's saying. Like, you look at this. I want you to care today, Nickolas, about Julian Assange. And it's important that you care about Julian Assange because whatever happens to him is going to impact your life in literally any meaningful fashion. It's not, you may have an opinion about it. It may hurt your feelings what happens. I think this is disturbing and scary. And my humble opinion, if I hope Joe Biden pardons him the second he gets to U.S. soil.
Yeah, right.
I just, it's disgusting.
You know damn well that's not going to happen.
I know.
I'll tell you how it affects us, okay? I'll play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
The way this affects us is because it lets us know that what's happening to him could happen to any one of us. And what he's experiencing just about putting out information, you know, wherever you receive that information, whatever the source may be, if it's one that's verifiable and can, you know, actually validate your claims, you can be a threat to your very own government, the same one that claims to want to help you. That's essentially what they're doing by going after him, and every whistleblower, whatever, for the record, throughout time.
And that's what I'm saying, Nick. That's this is my point, right? Don't we already know that if you work for government or have anything to do with government and you blow the whistle on government or on a major corporation, you're going to lose. You don't win. The public, even with that knowledge, the public doesn't win.
And we don't win because we're not in control of what's going on.
Because we don't take action on it. We're not going to take it. We're not going to take action, right? Edward Snowden, let us know. Your government is spying on you at will, nonstop, all the time. Just an undebatable fact. This is what's happening. Boom, right? Government doesn't deny it. And apparently supposedly passed measures not to do it anymore. But do you trust that they're not?
Of course not.
Nobody does. So here's the thing.
Especially when there's no checks and balances.
It's the age-old story. So while Julian Assange, right, like, he's the recent guy, right? He's just one in a long line of dumb bastards that got in the way of the federal government, and now they're going to pay the price. Of course, we knew this could happen to Julian. This could happen to the next person because we know this because it keeps happening to everyone who does it. This isn't news. It's just a warning. Don't cross the government and carry on. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing any of us can do for Julian Assange.
Right. This is how you know we live in a draconian society. Is because whenever they get a chance to punish someone, they make a display of it.
Of course.
So we can all see what's going on. And again, let it be known what's happening to them can happen to any one of you.
Of course.
And I think if anything, that's all the reason that we need to unite and revolt against them. Unless we want to continue hearing this and keep hearing this over and over, time and time again, when does it come to an end?
And that's what I'm saying. The revolt is tune this garbage out. Ignore it.
No, you can't. It's too important.
It's not.
It's important because I would rather know what my enemy is doing versus being in the dark. For instance, all right, with this whole coronavirus crisis, if we didn't go and do our research, I mean, we already know whatever the government says we should be questioning.
Yeah.
But if you didn't go and do the research about their claims, them saying it's so many cases, it's so many deaths, and then finding out, they're unrelated, etc., other nuances, you know what I mean? You wouldn't be able to express that conviction about your decision so much as if you just ignored it completely. Because with the environment we're in, you're going to have people that object to that. And they're trying to restrict your freedoms because of that. Fauci just did an interview, man. I know you don't watch the news and shit. He did an interview where he blatantly said, we're doing this a peaceful way to get people vaccinated. But if they start, making it difficult, we need to start thinking about other options. He said this during an interview, man. Fauci shit.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about this because, like I said, that's how it affects us and our freedoms.
Of course. But here's what I'm telling you, Nickolas. It at the end of the day, knowing this, what will it do for you?
Hopefully it'll keep others informed, and excite them to want to do something.
Do what?
Join with me in revolting.
Right? Or here's the thing, though, right?
You really can do, right?
It's okay. Eric, hold on. Let's see what Eric has here. Because they're too afraid.
Take action because they're too afraid. They're too afraid because of the psyop. They do public executions, police violence to keep people in line. Certainly. That's what I'm saying, man. The draconianism, make an example out of people.
But why do we keep consuming it?
We don't have to consume it anymore at this point. We just need to fight back.
And the fight, and here's what I'm saying. So my take is this, right? Is that this comes down to one of two ways, especially if you aren't going to get the vaccine, right? Or especially if you're libertarian at heart or whatever, right? This comes down to one of two things, this revolt that you're talking about. It's either going to be violent or nonviolent.
Right, yeah.
All right.
And
I am hoping for nonviolence. I'm saying the way to nonviolence is disconnecting. Stop playing their game. Become self-employed. Homeschool. Stop consuming their media. Stop spending all of your time on your phone playing video games, being on Facebook. Stop, be a constructive, useful human being to society. We all have ideas. We're all creative people, right? You do it. You are a great example of it, Nick. Going out there and doing the cleanup during Halloween and all the kind of stuff that you do like that.
Yeah, people don't care about that shit, man.
more and more.
I
think people do, and honestly, I think younger people do, and I think that I mean, even Ron Paul said it, right? Is that libertarianism and freedom is a young idea. and it's for young people and for people who are young at heart.
That is true, because a lot of people that are older kind of feel like it's pointless. I mean, there's set in their ways. The whole, can't teach an old dog new tricks. That mentality applies to
Right.
a lot of people, and they hate to admit it, but they really don't want to challenge the establishment. They don't want to go against the grain. They're comfortable with their life the way that it is, or else they would be fighting back. Like you
Right.
said, they would just turn the TV off and they would say, you know what? I'm going to do something about it, whether it be, and it doesn't have to be a violent revolution. You don't have to go out there and fight. It could be something as simple as voting. You know what I mean? Or you planting your own vegetables in your own garden.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what we talked about this before. But yeah, Erica, you're dead on that.
Yeah,
I agree. But that's kind of the thing, right? Is that from a peaceful perspective, it is. I know that it sounds absurd to people who are scared and who are really hooked into the system. But yeah, grow your own food. Yeah, homeschool. Yeah, get to know your neighbors, work with them, right? Maybe one of you is a school teacher or a better school teacher and another one's a better farmer. However you do it, cooperate with your neighbors. But that's how society is built. That's how community is built, right? Is you get to know the people you live next to, you figure out how you can help each other, and you build community around that. Exactly. Right? That's a lost art in the United States, at least everywhere I've been.
Oh yeah, and we definitely need to learn those skills again, because it's a matter of survival at this point. And if you want to be able to survive in the new world, and gain some independence, you can't be reliant upon the powers that be, because it's apparent they can pull the plug at any point. They can pull the plug on electricity or food supplies or whatever the case may be. You want to be able to have your own outlets, or at least know of others. One of the best things about being here in Fresno is there's a lot of little independent farmers. They grow their own vegetables, they sell their own eggs and stuff like that. And even though we're not able to do it, we know where to find them.
Yeah, we need a better community of that. Yeah, we need a better community of that, believe it or not, here in Portland.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's why community gardens is part of my, platform as a candidate, is because I think we need more of those. When I used to live in Fullerton, those were everywhere. Like in Southern California, the community is more involved in creating community gardens. But you would think in Central Valley here in farmland, those would be everywhere. You can't find them anywhere, And it's because they're reliant upon the farmers that live here to just kind of do their own thing. But agriculture should be something that we should be, getting into as a community. That's something that we should have all kind of been educated on through our education system, but it hasn't. It's like an essential skill, I believe.
Yeah. But again, like just going back again to this, you look at the headlines. It's freaking nonsense. It's all nonsense. There's nothing you can do about any of it. It is all stress. It is all bad news. It is all angst and anxiety. And so, Brian Williams, final warning: America unrecognizable. Gee, Brian, do you think it's because there's asshats on TV that are lying to us? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Like him?
Exactly. Exactly. Why would anyone in their right mind care for more than a half second what Brian Williams thinks about the United States of America?
Right.
And by the way, he's right.
He's a journalist. He's on TV. He's important for some reason.
He must be smart. He wears a tie.
Right. He reads off a teleprompter very well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And he has a serious voice and face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which he probably went to school for, and trained himself very well enough to do.
Oh,
But I guess what we could do about it is just strike back. We know enough about it, all of the information, all of these new headlines. They're going to keep coming in day to day, every day, but it's going to be more of the same. When do we break that cycle to finally say enough is enough?
I completely agree with the sentiment, Nickolas. I completely agree with you from an emotional perspective. But what does strike back look like? What does that mean? Because that sounds like aggression to me.
It doesn't have to be aggression. Okay,
that's the key piece. That's the key piece, though, because I'm on board, right? Because that's what I'm saying is that in that sense, right? Let's strike back. Let's stop consuming their shit.
Exactly. That's how you strike back. You know, when you watch Star Wars and shit, and you root for the rebels and all of that, there's a way in the movie you watch them fight back against the Empire, but yet why do we question that in our own society and in real life?
Dude, here's the way I look at it, right? You got the Empire in Star Wars. Your two political parties in the Empire are the supernatural party versus the regular human beings party that can't choke people from across the room, right? So you got the little guys that have the numbers, but then you got the real power players, right? That also convince people that, hey, if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have jobs, you wouldn't have healthcare, you wouldn't have benefits, you wouldn't have a Death Star.
Right.
There's your Republicans and Democrats right there.
So since we are the 99%, we just got to recognize our power, which is the ability to pool our resources instead of giving them away. I mentioned that again earlier. You know how we are more inclined to give our money to someone who doesn't need it, i.e., rich people or whatever the case may be, versus a person that is in need, and asks for it. And it's sad that we frown upon those people, but we applaud the other. And if we really cared about society, like we say, then we would turn to those in need and say, here's the money I was going to give this person. The $10 that you were about to spend on Burger King, give that to the guy on the street, so he can go and get the Burger King or whatever the case may be.
Or better yet, right? And I'm not like, but you used a great term, right? You talked about pooling our assets. What is literally the most valuable asset that anyone has, and we all have the same thing?
Our mind.
Time.
Not everybody is physically able to. Time. Yeah, that's true. Time is the most
valuable asset anyone owns. We don't need money. People don't need money. They need time. Homeless people don't need your money. They need your time. Mentally ill people don't need your money. They need your time. Immigrants don't need your money. They need your time.
That is true.
Right? Students,
kids, you get paid
kids
for your
don't
time.
need your freaking money. They need your time.
Yeah.
Right? Time is the most valuable asset that we have. And if we could pool that resource and work as a community, look, I don't see anything wrong with people asking other people to help with educating my kid to be able to do math better, right? I think that's cool. And I think that's a great thing to do in the community. I think for there to be a compulsory system that says your child will learn math and they will learn it this way and they will, that's ridiculous. That's no assets are being pooled. Now you're just pawning your kids off onto a system that doesn't really care about your kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's to me, man, divorce, get out of that. And it's easy for me to say, I'm a grandpa now. I don't have any kids at home, but we did homeschool.
I think a lot of people are homeschooling right now by default. You know,
Yeah.
they've already kind
Yeah.
of made that separation between the establishment, you know,
Yeah.
the educational system.
Oh, here's the
Because
beauty. Can
they're
you
being
imagine
told to
this?
stay home.
What if Americans grew the seeds to homeschool and homeschool in a manner that they chose the curriculum, not the government, not a government approved curriculum, right? What would happen to the college system as a whole generation of kids who didn't go to accredited schools and get an
Right.
accredited education? What would happen to a college system then?
Right. Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
with you on that, man. We need to make that shift.
Yep.
Conscious consumerism is our way. Drop their ratings, pull our money out of their banks, shop mom and pop, homeschool, grow your own food, run for office, vote for people who aren't corporations, etc. Exactly. That's the resource, like you said, our time, you know, everything that comes from that, because
Yeah.
money is something that's compensated for your time. You know, if
Yeah.
whether you're working for somebody else or you're working for yourself, you know, that's something that you get paid for. So if we could again just put our money together, put our time together, put our effort together, put our minds together, then we could come up with our own solutions outside of the government, outside of the corporations.
But here's what I'm saying, Nick, is that look, we're talking and Erica is already on board. I know
Yeah,
she's not the only person listening who's on board. You're on board. I'm on board. My wife is on board. I'll bet your wife is on board,
absolutely.
right? We don't have to pool anything, right? Because to her point, when she talked about conscious consumerism, right? Pay attention to what you're buying. Where's it coming from? Who made it? What's in it? Right? How about this for conscious consumerism? Do you need it?
Right.
Right? Stop spending your money if you can. To the nth degree, stop spending your money. But here's the beauty is that our solutions are all going to look different, and yet they'll have the same common themes.
Yeah,
Right?
speaking of conscious consumerism, Shane has launched his own business, which is plant-based possibilities right here. So for people that are battling any type of chronic disease, Shane, you want to tell them about it?
Yeah, so let's be clear first and foremost. Thank you for saying I
I gotta
launched
plug
it.
you.
Yeah. I launched a website. I did that.
Yeah.
But everything else is actually my wife.
All right.
And yeah, so she is the one. But yeah, look, the idea is I don't know. We discovered in the last couple of years that it turns out you are in fact what you eat.
Mhm.
And as long as you consume garbage, you're going to get garbage results in your life.
Exactly.
So, you know, most of the diseases that plague us are diseases of inflammation. So heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes, you know, all that crap, right? Almost all of it is reversible and avoidable by eating correctly and eating properly. So,
All right. Well,
yeah.
hopefully you'll be able to help those people that need to correct their diet, you know, and ingest more alkaline foods and get rid of the waste, the junk, because that's really what we're putting into our bodies. You know, the ideal food is McDonald's. You know,
Oh, yeah.
people see a picture of a burger and be like, that's food. Are you kidding me? Come on. Uh,
Right.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully people will hit up the website, plant-based possibilities right there, plant-based possibilities.com right there down at the bottom of the website.
Oh, look at me up in the corner, man. Look at that belly.
Right here we go. Let's see.
Man.
Oh, I can't make it any bigger. But anyways, this is Shane over here, you guys, and his wife Kelly. Now she pretty much looks the same. So
Here's what's incredible. So she and I eat the same foods, right?
uh-huh.
Because she cooks, right? So I've dropped almost, I mean, throughout all my weight loss, I've dropped right around 100 pounds. She's gained 10 pounds.
Oh,
Eating
really?
the same,
All right.
yeah, eating the same food, and she needed to gain the 10 pounds. It's been like a problem for her whole life, is that she's been underweight,
Yeah,
and she's never been able to gain weight.
Yeah, it is a possibility of being underweight as well, and that's
yeah. Oh, you should see her now. She's a fat ass now. Take a look at her. Like it's almost embarrassing.
All right, so Shane is about to disappear, you guys. I don't know. But if he is, hopefully he'll make it through the week. And so will you guys. We appreciate you for being here. We're going to get out of here. But first, of course, please connect with us. Connect with me on social media. Everybody, let's connect with everybody. Connect with each other. And hit me up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff right there at the bottom, Governor Wildstar. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, hit that bell, click like, leave a comment, all of that good stuff. And come back again next week. We'll be talking about a whole lot more, actually.
Yes. And Erica, you are welcome to jump on the show. Jump on and be a part of the conversation. Just remember that next time.
She is a rider. She's down a ride or die for Team Wildstar. So she's actually been helping out with the campaign.
Has she?
In LA. Yes.
Oh, nice, man. Okay.
Yeah. So she's already on that page, Nice.
Absolutely.
So we just need more people to get involved. Like Shane was saying, we know too many people. All we got to do is let them know, hey, we got to start depending on each other instead of depending on them. Speaking of them, next week we're going to be talking about who is them. And we're going to go into that a bit more in detail. So please definitely come on back. And Erica says, sure, she'll jump in. So we'll drop a link in the show for next week where we'll be discussing who is us, who is them, who is we the people, let's get down to the bottom of it. But come back next time. We appreciate all of the comments, all of the love, Erica, all of the people watching, Mandy, Tony, all the comments. Yeah,
Elon.
Yeah, right. We know you're watching, Elon.
But how could he not? Honestly, what else is he going to do with a Friday night?
Exactly. He said he's being an influencer. He can learn from us. We're the best in the business.
We influence the influencer. Exactly. That's the power of the Nick and Shane show right there. All it takes, one listen to the opening song. It's like a hypnosis. You can't turn it off. Right, there you go. Speaking of which, let's drop that and get on out of here. And thank you guys again. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on the Nick and Shane show. All right? See ya.
Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Shane.
Nick.
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 Shane. Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm 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 Shane.